Okay, I'm live. I'm live on my phone. I don't know what is going on with my computer. We'll see. I'm going to leave it to continue to buffer so I can see the chat and easily. Okay, I think I'm actually live on the computer, but you might be seeing a black screen. I'm doing something a little different with my camera. Let me do this. I don't have a USB 3 on my camera or on this laptop, so let's see if that works. I think that's why I had trouble last week. So I have come on. Oh, okay. So I had a connector that is supposed to connect it to USB 3, and it did not. All these freaking technical issues. My regular laptop I normally use died a couple of weeks ago. I had 5 computers die a couple weeks ago. So 4 of them are fixed. The laptop is still not. So, all right, I'm just going to hang out here. I don't know what that looks like for you guys. Let me go to my page here. Good thing we have multiple devices, huh? Let's see. How's everybody doing today? Let me go to my channel. And let's go see what this looks like if I go live. It's actually showing me that I'm live on the computer. I just can't. Okay. All right. So I think it's now going to be more of a studio thing. I don't even know. Okay. So here we go. Hi, everybody. Hey, Idaho girl. Thanks for being here. Hey, Howie. Howie, how are you guys doing? Howie did some grafting yesterday. I grafted 2 new apple trees. Don't ask me which kind they are because I don't remember. They're out back. I keep looking at my camera up here. I need to move that down. And let's see. That was fun learning how to graft. It was, what's super cool about it, because I'm on a half acre and I want to grow as much food as possible. So the beauty of grafting is it will allow me to grow multiple, there, my computer just stopped. It'll allow me to grow multiple varieties of apples on one tree. So how cool is that? Like instead of having multiple trees, I can have multiple apples growing on one tree. So I can just keep grafting and grafting. So I do have a Golden Delicious that I got a couple weeks ago at Michigan Fruit and Nut Growers Association. We had one of our meetings, our spring meeting, and so I won that in the auction. And so I'm excited to grow that. And I was talking to Bill Nash, who owns Nash Nurseries, and we're going to get into pantry stuff here in a minute, but I'm super excited about this. So I was talking to him about how, because he was asking me, what kind of apples I like. And hey, Big Steve, how are you? And I said, well, I hate Red Delicious. I love a Macintosh, but boy, they're so, they can be really, sometimes they can be mealy. And so, he was telling me too that he said, actually, if you get a Red Delicious right off of the tree or a Macintosh right off the tree, it's a completely different apple, because most of the apples that we get in the store have been in cold storage for months and months. So I knew that there was a lot of that, but I guess that would explain why a lot of them just don't taste good. So nice to see you too on a Sunday night. I always appreciate you jumping on over here. Thank you so much. I'm having some technical difficulties, so I don't know if it looks correct to you guys. I can't get into my studio through my computer, so I'm actually live on my phone. So I'm just reading the feed on the computer. And like I say, lucky I have multiple devices. So good, great. I appreciate that. Sounds okay? You can hear me okay? Because I'm not even, of course, I don't think anything's going through the computer. Perfect, okay. I didn't want to have feedback, so I should just unplug this mic just in case. Now I'll leave that. Okay. So today I wanted to come back in and talk a little bit more about your pantry and things you should have in your pantry. We talked about what you shouldn't have in your pantry a couple weeks ago, and we'll go back to that too. But I also think that oftentimes if you start to just bring the good things in, then just by nature of you start to feel good, you start to learn how to utilize healthier ingredients, that just by nature of that, the bad stuff starts to go away. And so that's why I wanted to go through things that you should have in your kitchen and your pantry, and then slowly we can start taking out all of the things that that you don't need. So the things with the label. It's funny. I was at a seminar this morning, and it was all on gut health and digestion and healing people through functional medicine. And how do we get people off of acid blockers? And acid blockers are quite likely one of the most dangerous drugs on the market because people are self-dosing. You can walk into a store and just buy those at any point in time, and they cause so many downstream effects, including osteoporosis. They can cause brain issues like brain fog. They lend themselves to anxiety. There's it damages the gut. It shuts down pancreatic function. It's just, the list can go on and on. So through functional medicine, this is how we want to heal people. But if you're somebody who we have to look at the diet first. I always say that. So, hey, Howie, you're back. I'm back. So we have to look at the diet first, because again, if you're out eating Big Macs every day, I'm not going to out supplement a poor diet. So my goal by giving you these things is to help you to again, stock good, healthy things in your kitchen. And then again, teach your kids how to utilize these ingredients. And it's a pretty simple list, and you can do so many things with some of the things that I'm going to give you. So the first thing on my list is sea salt. And, salt, we're told, avoid salt. It's bad for you. If you have high blood pressure, avoid salt. And I always ask the question, because people who have high blood pressure will, if they're on high blood pressure medication, they say, I can't have salt, but then they're piling down sugar or bacon or, and we've talked about things like sodium nitrite, monosodium glutamate, sodium nitrate, all of these sodium derivatives. If it has the word sodium in it, it's salt. It's going to affect you. And when you just push one mineral like that and you push it a lot, it's like medications too. If you take a medication to turn something up or push something down, something else is going to be affected. So if you're trying to avoid salt, but you're eating all of these processed foods that have all of these sodium derivatives in them, you're still going to drive your sodium, and think of this sodium, you're still going to drive that up. But when you have sea salt in its natural form, unrefined, from a high quality source, not our oceans, because we have all of these microplastics that can be in your salt. So it can't just be any salt. There's a company that I told you guys about is from J.Q. Dickinson down in West Virginia, and they get their salt from an ancient ocean 300 plus feet below the Earth's surface, and that body of water predates the Atlantic Ocean. So it's really, really interesting. And then Redmond salt also comes from a deep well. So you want to be looking for high quality sources. So yes, Howie, organic salt is good for us. They're walking hairy bags of salt. Yeah, that's all we are, is salt. We need sodium for every biological, chemical function in our body. It's in everything. It's in every process that takes place. So it's important that you have that full balance of, not just sodium, but it's going to have sodium and magnesium and potassium and zinc, and all the minerals are going to be attached to this thread of salt in a high quality sea salt. So eat sea salt. Don't be afraid of it. I eat gobs of sea salt. Everybody's, my family makes fun of me, you're going to get high blood pressure. I'm like, yeah, I'm the only one in the family that doesn't have high blood pressure. So, I can't say that for sure. I don't think my brother does, my one brother, but anyway, it's, it's, I'm super healthy. So, I'm not afraid of the salt. And also I don't eat processed foods either that have all of these salt derivatives. I really try to avoid those at all costs unless I get duped. And every once in a while I get duped. We've talked about that. So look for unrefined sea salt. Don't fall for the fakes. Make sure that you're reading the label to see where it comes from. Organic celery juice does have natural salts in it. And celery juice has it's not an enzyme. It's got a nutrient in it that is actually helps with cancer. It's very, very anti-cancer food. So, and of course, organic celery juice there's no sugar in it. So that's good. Hold on, I have to let the dog in because I always do when I go live. Okay. So sea salt is a big one for me. We always have that. And then my top 3 spices, if you're not sure what to do with spices, I always say cook with spices because the spices are incredibly anti-inflammatory. If you think of all the different ethnicities around the globe, and so many different countries have their specific spices that they use, really spice heavy. The Middle East, the Indian culture, the Hispanic culture. So, it's, you just think about all the different spices that you could use. So if you're confused, salt, pepper, garlic. And you could do so much with salt, pepper, garlic. And then you can expand out from there and you can use different herbs. But you have to read the label on those spices because a lot of them can have chemicals in them, anti-caking agents, but there was a study that just came out that a lot of them are tainted. I haven't had a chance to do any videos on that yet, but watch for that. I'll be doing some videos on that, which I actually did a video on sea salt. Oh, it was probably 3 months ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. I think it might have been like one of my first YouTube videos. The lighting's terrible, but you'll get the idea. So you can go back and watch that and what I talk about salt. It's actually worth another video because salt's so important to our health. So salt, pepper, garlic, and then again, fresh ground whole spices. If you can just buy them ground and whole, and then you blend them yourself. So, if you can buy them whole and grind them yourself, you get a coffee grinder and grind them, even better. And then you're less likely to have anything that's gone through the processing of those spices that it would be tainted with chemicals. So, and then herbs, my favorite herbs would be thyme, oregano, tarragon, and basil. You could do like an Italian blend herb. Again, read the label. You just got to read the label. Now, organic chicken stock. We talked about chicken stock, making it versus buying it. I got a video on chicken stock, so go back and watch that one. But so many stocks that are on the market are they have additives in them, and they have sugar added, and they have, some of them have wheat gluten, and there's just there's things in there that you wouldn't even think that are in there. One of the Campbell's soup label that I was reading on the video, it has gluten in it. So if you're somebody who you need to avoid gluten for any reason, you're gonna pick up the Campbell's chicken stock, which is full of MSG. It's all it is MSG, and it has this gluten I think as a thickener or something. But the problem with that is, are you really gonna think that a chicken stock would have gluten in it? Like, nobody's gonna think that. So read those labels. Organic canned tomatoes. My hierarchy of tomatoes is buying fresh from dirt. Most of the tomatoes that we have in our stores are hydroponically grown. And I'm so glad, Steve. If you have any questions, please let me know. I appreciate it. Appreciate you being here. And don't forget, if you are here, hit the thumbs up button. So tomatoes, most of our tomatoes are hydroponically grown, and the problem with that is, and you can look this up too, is that a lot of these hydroponic farms, they claim that that they have just as much minerals that they're utilizing in the water, that they would if the dog, that they would, yeah, thank you, please share it out, thank you. So they claim to have just as many minerals in the water as it would growing in the soil. And I know, he's, well, I have my phone so I can, I think he wants me to get up and crawl under the shelf to get his thing. Yeah, I know. No, you can get it. It's okay. Might have to get up and get it if he doesn't stop making noise. Where was I? Totally forgot. Yay, puppy dog. I know. So tomatoes. So hey, Kenny, how are you? Nice to see you. Kenny, we'll talk about maple syrup is on my list here. Kenny and I were talking about syrups earlier. So with tomatoes, so many tomatoes and a lot of our vegetables are hydroponically grown, and the companies, I say companies, not farmers, who grow them claim that they have just as many minerals in the water to grow these hydroponic vegetables as you would if they were grown in soil. I have not dug so deep into that, but I'm just going to say hogwash, because you all know that a tomato from the store tastes nothing like the ones grown in your backyard. And I think there's a reason for that, right? So I can only speculate. I'm not, I have not dove into the data on hydroponics versus growing in dirt. But listen, give me the dirt, because if you give me the dirt, you're also giving me the bugs, and we want the bugs and all the probiotics and everything that comes with growing in dirt. So anyway, I prefer a fresh grown tomato from the dirt. It's wintertime. I do eat tomatoes throughout the winter. I make my own sauce. So I have about 4 cases left of tomato sauce, and it's tomatoes, garlic, onions, all from the market, all from vegetables that were grown in dirt. And they go from the market and they come home and I can them that day. So my tomatoes are in a jar right now that I've done myself, and they taste better than any tomato I could buy in the store. Now, it's not a fresh tomato. So if I need a fresh tomato, I will just buy the organic ones, even though I know that they're hydroponically grown. So you kind of, I don't know. Yeah, Kenny, you're absolutely right. Nothing tastes like a tomato from the garden, right? It's the best, especially in the middle of winter. It's so refreshing. I mean, in the middle of summer, it's so refreshing. So that's my first choice. And then I would probably go for, I would do mine in the jar. And then I would say a diced canned tomato. It's got to be in a BPA-free lined can. Really, like the lesson is, at some point, if you need a canned tomato, you're either going to have to can them yourself, or you're going to have to buy some in the store. But then you're going to have to look at the label. Does it have chemical additives? A lot of them will have sodium benzoate and other preservatives. Citric acid is a big one. So if you have any kind of sensitivity to corn, you're going to want to avoid that. Eat them like an apple right out of the garden. I know, same. Yeah, when my daughter was little, in diapers, and I've always gardened, and I would come home from work and I'd put my shorts on, and she'd grab the little basket and waddle out there in her little diapered butt, and we'd pick all the vegetables, and she'd squat down and she'd look up and she'd go, bean, bean. And I'd pick all the things, and we put them in the basket, and she'd carry it back. And, it's, I don't know, it's maybe, what is that? Maybe 60 feet to the back garden. And there was a bite taken out of every single freaking vegetable in the basket. So you crunch on an onion. Well, that's healthy for you. Oh my gosh. I don't think I could do that, but holy moly, that's going to help your gut for sure. So a lot of quercetin in those raw onions. Quercetin helps with sinus issues too. So good on you, Big Steve. Yeah. kind of jealous. I mean, I eat raw garlic though, so I guess we're all walking around stinking like onions and garlic, right? But we're healthy, dang it. um, okay, and then we're gonna move on to nuts. So nuts should be in their raw form. The problem with nuts is they're typically roasted with seed oils. Yeah, raw garlic too. I know. So I say we're all walking around. We would all be in good company. We'd all be, we wouldn't smell each other's breath because we all would stink so badly of onions and garlic. So make sure you're buying raw forms of nuts because most of the nuts that have been, excuse me, roasted have been roasted in seed oils, sunflower oil, safflower vegetable oil. excuse, excuse me. So you want to avoid those at all costs because they can actually contribute to heart disease. They cause a lot of inflammation, so we want to avoid that. And the good thing about having raw nuts around is you can actually make your own nut milk. The woman sitting next to me today at the seminar had asked me, what do I think about nut milks? And I said, well, I did a video on that. So you can also go back and look at the video that I did on nut milks. And it's terrible because they add thickeners to them. They put additives in them. They make them look really pretty. They dupe you into thinking that it's something good. And they're really expensive. So I have here half a cup of raw nuts, 2 cups of water, blend the heck out of them in your blender. Don't strain them. People buy these fancy nut milk bags and strain them. And I mean, that stuff's good for you. Like, just shake it and let the bits fall out. Like, who cares? So that's just an easy way to make the nuts. And if you're going to make almond milk, if you don't have a high-speed blender like a Vitamix, you might want to soak the almonds. Vitamix is going to blend the heck out of them. So if you just have a regular blender, not high speed like that, you could soak the nuts for 30 minutes to an hour. That'll soften them and you get a little better blend. Let's see. So Kenny, you do the same thing, Mom. With Mom on trips to pick veggies, especially green beans, you'd eat half of what she picked. I know, right? This is so great. I mean, you think about that as a kid, like, it's a great memory, but what a great lesson to teach your kids that we can grow all of our own food and that, and you appreciate that. You appreciate where your food comes from. So vinegars of any kind, again, as long as they don't have a label. A lot of vinegars, they'll add like grape must. I don't even know what that is. It doesn't sound good. To me, that sounds like a mold contributor. If you have, mold issues, olive oil. Yeah, olive oil is healthy, and that's the next one on the list, Steve. So hang tight, one sec. So just make sure when you pick up your vinegars, they don't have a label. Now we have here. We have these little vinegar stores, and you might have some specialty markets around you that sell specialty vinegars that are all pure. They've been fermented and pressed, and they might have infusions of specific, fruits that, those are amazing. So I also did a video on that. So you could go check out my vinegar video. Okay, so then here you go, Big Steve. So olive oils, oils of varying flavors and varieties. Stick with the purest forms. So extra virgin, cold pressed is really what you want out of your olive oil. Hold on, I'll let the dog out. Okay, so actually one of my favorites, I love a good imported olive oil. I've got one girlfriend of mine, her ex-husband has an organic olive orchard co-op over in Palestine, and he shipped her a pallet of gallon jugs of his olive oil, and oh my God, it is to die for. It has a deep color, it's rich in flavor, it smells incredible. So I love that. I usually will only use that as a finishing oil, meaning I'll use that to dress my salads or, drizzle that over hummus or, drizzle it on like a caprese salad or something. But my other one too that I love is I love the Bragg's because it's unfiltered. I love the unfiltered ones because they just seem to have a richness to them. And your olive oils, just make sure you don't leave them out on the counter. They should be in a darker bottle to protect against the light. But if you put them, just keep them in a cabinet so that they still don't get exposed. So roasted red pepper hummus on a Ritz cracker. I know. I'm kind of a sucker for Ritz cracker, Big Steve, but I won't eat the regular ones, the Nabisco. So I do the organic. The organic ones, I don't know how much better they are. They still have seed oils in them, but boy, they're good. I know, I feel you. So yes, balsamic vinegar is covered in my video, and the place that I get it from, Kenny, there's actually a place in Milford that has an aged balsamic vinegar, but there's a place in Plymouth, and I prefer theirs, and theirs is an 18-year balsamic vinegar, and it is like syrup, and it is amazing. It's the best balsamic I've ever had. And then they have like a fig balsamic. They have a what's another? They have a chocolate one, an espresso one. And they're just the espresso one's amazing. The espresso one is really nice because you use that as a glaze on like a steak or something and grill it, and oh my gosh, really really incredible. They have Ritz China. You would know, Kenny, that they, no, I'm teasing you. I don't want to give him too much flack. He's like, I know. What is it about a Ritz cracker? They're like crazy good. Dates are so good, Big Steve. So, the place Kenny, you probably wouldn't know the difference if I would go to it's the Acorn Kitchen store in Milford, and they have and you can try them all. They have olive oils and they have vinegars there, and you can try them all. And that's really a fun way to try to figure out what you like. So of course you would know. Yeah. So going back to, okay, so I need to add dates to my list, Big Steve. So I'm just going to answer that while I'm on it. And then hold on one second. Let me go to one more. So, cause while we're on oils, butter, lard, coconut oil, beef tallow. So the hard oils, if you will, you can use those for cooking, and then use your olive oils for finishing. Don't be afraid to cook with butter. Make sure your butter is pure butter. You shouldn't have an ingredient label on your butter if you're using lard. I have a bowl of lard sitting on my counter right now. I use it to cook with all the time, between butter, lard. I cook with coconut oil, but not as often anymore now that because I found a local farmer that I can get the lard from, and then I render it down myself. Lard it's like it gives everything so much flavor that I just prefer it over the coconut oil. Now, if I make popcorn, which also needs to be organic, I will use coconut oil to do that because that's really, really good. Or like if I've made bacon, I'll keep the bacon fat, and then I cook the popcorn in the bacon fat. It's really good. I know it's pretty decadent. So those are my little decadent things that I'll have. So check it out. Like for my dates to be healthy, but it's tough to know before you ask. Oh, Kenny, Steve, did you get that joke there? Yeah. That's good, Kenny. That's good. Yeah, keep it up. Okay, so that's for your cooking, because also most of the time when you cook, it's going to be at a higher heat, and you can actually damage your olive oils and your good oils. Yeah, right. Kenny's here all week. Tip your servers. So try just use those hard oils for cooking, and then your liquid oils and if you have any kind of seed oils, vegetable oils, Crisco, anything like that, get rid of them, just throw them away. So I appreciate you being here. We're going to talk about maple syrup. Hang on. But I got to talk about dates. We have to know, are Big Steve dates healthy? Are dates healthy for women run from me? Oh, then I guess dates aren't healthy for you, Big Steve. I don't know. Okay, this is going south real fast. Okay, so Dates are so healthy. I have a container of organic, hold on. And you know what? I think you can even get these at Costco now. So these are organic pitted dates. And the nice thing about dates, and if you get dates, if you, if they're runners, what'd you say? If they're runners, they're healthy-ish. That's good. So dates are, oh my God, they're so, so good. The beauty of dates too, like you could get date paste. So I used to take these and throw them in my food processor. Do you eat dates, Big Steve? They're so good. They're actually one of the lowest glycemic index foods. What does that mean? That means that they are super low for spiking blood sugar. So if you need a sweet snack, dates is where it's at, and it's not gonna, it won't spike your blood sugar. Like, you know, even grapes, right? So if you have like, certain fruits are going to be higher glycemic and spike blood sugar more than a date will. I don't know if it's just a Middle Eastern thing or what, but my grandmother on both sides, I'm 100% Lebanese, and dessert at every meal was the dates with a big old chunk of walnut stuffed in it. And they would just sit and stuff and then put a big bowl of dates stuffed with walnuts. So I grew up on dates, and we grew up on that snack. And so there's been times I've taken those and thrown them to the food processor and blended them down. Then I discovered date paste, and you can take nuts, throw those in the food processor, blend them up, and then I'll take those and roll them in coconut and make little balls, little bites of, date. Okay, it's going to go south real fast. Date balls with nuts. Okay, so, okay, I'm just going to open that door right there. They're so good. Okay. Yeah, keep snacking on them. Thanks, Howie. I appreciate it. Let's see. Hadn't had a date in a long time, Kenny. Yeah, welcome to the club. Let's see. Yeah, you get them once a month. I know, it's like, and you don't need a whole lot of them because they're so satisfying. And you just saw me eat that, which was rude. I'm sorry to eat in front of you guys. But it requires a lot to chew them, and there's a ton of fiber in there. So I wouldn't be afraid of dates, and you can use date paste and date syrup to sweeten things as well. Date syrup and maple syrup, I think date syrup is a little lower on the glycemic index than even maple syrup. And I love maple syrup for a sweetener. So you could use that too. So, Big Steve, thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm so glad you find value out of this. So that's why I'm here. This is for you. So, that's why I love your questions. I want to be able to bring value to you and, make sure that you walk away with something that you can implement in your life. So, so now you know about dates. So keep eating the dates. They're so good. I mean, they're high in minerals too. They're amazing. And somewhere on here, I talk about sweeteners. This is why this is like part 2 of what to have in your kitchen, because I never got through the whole list, which I don't even know if I'm going to get through today. So next week might be part 3. But for sweeteners, so date paste, I use date syrup. I'll use date syrup, or I just prefer maple syrup. Maple syrup is so flavorful. It's rich. There's a ton of minerals in it. And so what I love about it is I can use very little maple syrup. I'll usually put like, maybe a tablespoon in like my shake, my nutrition shake. And when I do that, I can use, a tiny bit, because it's so flavorful. It's like honey. Honey is, and honey's a little higher on the glycemic index, but there's so many great properties of honey for a sweetener. It's antibacterial, it's antiviral, it can help with allergies. So honey's really incredible as well. We talked about that. last week from a sweetener perspective and being able to use honey. But so you between honey and maple syrup, you can use very little and get the sweetness because the impact of the flavor, it's got such a depth of flavor. I guess that's where I'm trying to go with that. So so those would be my two favorite ones. So that's Kenny. Either kind of date. Maybe you could take feed your date dates. So erythritol. So big Steve. So okay. So erythritol. So much with that. I did a video on sugar alcohols. See, I've done a lot of videos, haven't I? I like that I've been able to address with video so many of your questions. So I did a video on sugar alcohols. So anything that ends in OL or TOL is a sugar alcohol. So it doesn't have it could impact insulin levels. There's some variability on that in individuals, but what sugar alcohols do is they can actually disrupt the gut microbiome. Now, there's a lot of controversy around erythritol these days, and there was a recent study that came out that it causes heart disease, or I don't even know. So I'll answer that question in a second, Kenny. That's actually a really good question. So, and yes, they are good for you, but we're going to talk about the erythritol for a minute. So think erythritol, xylitol, a lot of like dental gum, gums, chewing gum, will be sweetened with xylitol, which is actually can clean your teeth, can actually be helpful for like plaquing. But if you're eating, a lot of diabetic foods will have erythritol, xylitol. I think that's really originally where xylitol came from, or not where it came from, but where it started was diabetics wanted something sweet without having to spike insulin. So they created this whole line of, candies, and it was all xylitol candies. And so what it does, and yeah. So here's the thing. This study came out saying that it causes heart disease. That I personally, there's the dog. Hold on. I'd have to go back and reread the study, and this was, I don't know, it was a few weeks ago, and I perused the study when it came out, and now I can't remember the specifics, but are you really be able to eat enough erythritol to give yourself heart disease? Like, I mean, this is just like how my brain thinks. I'm thinking, there's so many more things that we do in a day and within our standard American diet that contribute to heart disease rather than erythritol, right? Now, do I like it? No, doesn't mean I like it. I think it's a stepping stone, but I think like stevia would be a better stepping stone. Personally, I find any sweetener that isn't a natural sugar like honey or maple syrup, I find them completely noxious. My palate does not like them. If I have something with stevia, which is a plant, which again, if you're having stevia, it should be 100% organic stevia leaf. Stay away from things that so a lot of stevia products will be mixed with erythritol. What you might notice, because a lot of people don't make the connection, is that when you eat erythritol, or there's another one called maltitol, the two very common artificial sweeteners or sugar alcohols that are used in like protein powders. And what will happen is you end up getting severe digestive upset, like terrible, terrible bloating, but you don't connect the fact that it was the protein shake or the protein bar, really, really popular in protein bars. So if it's not affecting you like that, then okay, but I would just minimize it. Because again, I put those things up there right along with sugars. I just feel like we just need to limit anything that like drives that sweet craving. I have to let the dog out again. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I hope that answers your question, Big Steve. So, but just be mindful. And if you do eat it and you get like, I mean, I discovered it the hard way years ago, between that and maltitol. And I was like in doubled over pain several hours later. It was horrible. And I couldn't figure out what the heck. And then I realized, I got duped. I was eating a bar that I thought didn't have anything in it, and I got duped. So yeah, so just keep an eye out for that. So welcome back, Idaho girl. Appreciate you coming back. I had some technical issues. Okay, so Kenny then says he thought honey and syrup were both just sugar overload. Turns out they're good for you. So let's define good for you. So honey and, let's say, maple syrup. So when we were having this conversation earlier, so all right, I'm just going to tell everybody what you sent me, Kenny. So Kenny messaged me, and it was bacon, and then you pour pancake batter over it, and basically it's a pancake battered piece of bacon. Now, it sounds really decadent, and I was like, that actually looks really good, right? So that could get me in a weak moment. But it was good. It was good to look at least. So then I said, well, when I was younger, I would take my sausage links and I would wrap my pancake around my, I'd make a sandwich like that, and I would dip it in maple syrup. And then I said, oh, we need to talk about syrup. So anyway, those are my bacon, pancakes, and sausage were like, my decadence in my previous life, years and years ago. Doesn't mean I like to look at that stuff too, because it's like, oh, I don't know. I feel like it gives me a little hit of dopamine to look at it. But okay, so honey and syrup. So we do have to watch out for the. Again, I always subscribe to, the more sweeteners we're having, the more we're feeding bad bugs in our gut. So if you're having, and I think I showed you the honey that I got. So number one, buy honey that's local. And by the way, if you jumped back in, make sure you hit that thumbs up button for me, and share this video out so people come and support us on Sunday night. I appreciate it. So buy honey that's local. I prefer it raw. I prefer it unfiltered. It's literally like taffy. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. But find a good local farmer or local source to get your honey. Because what happens also is, if you have allergies, when you have local honey, then you're getting the pollen that, the bees go out and they make the honey with pollen that may be affecting you for your allergies. So it's like you're getting a small dose of the poison, if you will, and it actually can help your allergies to eat a little bit of local honey. So a little, maybe a half a teaspoon a day. It's excellent for if I ever get a scratchy throat, I have a little bit of honey. Again, it's antibacterial, it's antiviral. If you get a scrape, a cut, you can use it on scrape, cut, rashes. You can make a skin mask out of it for, anti-aging. I mean, honey's just, there's so many amazing uses for it. So honey, good, make sure that it is local. And then syrup, I just go with maple syrup. Because if you're looking at like Mrs. Butterworth's, that is corn syrup. So genetically modified corn, there's stabilizers, they put oils in them. Like it's truly disgusting. So honey and maple syrup, and then the date syrup would be another sweetener that you could use. But again, like these are things in their purest form. So let me look up the glycemic index of I want to see honey, glycemic index of sweeteners. And then, so I forget where honey falls on the list. Like I say, I know that maple syrup and okay, so So pure cane sugar is 60 and on the glycemic, so it's out of 100. So glucose is straight sugar, and then cane sugar is at a 60. Glucose is at 100. So raw honey is 59 to 61. So, relatively low, but, right up there. Well, no, I guess it's not low. It's right up there with cane sugar. Molasses is 55. Maple syrup is 54. Coconut sugar is 54. Dates is 31 to 60. Now, I don't know why it's a range, and agave is 11 to 19, so agave would be the lowest. So I forgot to add agave. I'm not a fan of agave, only because, I suppose if you need a little bit of sweetener, you could use it. You could use it, but it doesn't impart flavor. So, and again, I'm using so little that's where I prefer the maple syrup. But if you really do need to be conscious of your sugar intake, then you may want to use agave or date syrup. Those are the two lowest glycemic sweeteners. And then maltitol, I was looking to see if erythritol was on here. So xylitol is a 13, maltitol is a 35. It's still a sugar alcohol and has a pretty good impact. So, all right. So yeah, you'll want to watch out for those. So let's see, we covered erythritol. So syrup, good, as long as it's a pure form of syrup. So agave, maple, date, and I think that's all you need. I don't think there's anything else in there that would make your taste buds dance. Let's see. Where are we at? Okay, so Kenny just Googled erythritol. Yeah, I mean, it's, just read about it. Like I say, it can really cause some digestive upset. And then Howie says, sugar makes you acidic, feeds mold, yeast, and fungus. Yeah, so what's interesting, so Howie says the sugar feeds the molds, the yeast, and the fungus. When you've got an overgrowth of candida, yeast, or any kind of bad bugs in your gut, their food is sugar. So if you're somebody who has cravings, those bugs tell your brain to make you go get the sugar. So it's kind of it's a little backwards. It's like, so we have these cravings, we eat the sugar, we're feeding the bad bugs, but they're the ones that actually told us in the first place to go get the sugar. So if you have sugar cravings, then you probably have a gut issue until proven otherwise. And so that's a really, but so if you can starve if you can starve them, it requires a little bit of willpower to starve them initially. I mean, I can get people breaking their cravings within about 3 days. And then they're like, holy moly, I have no desire for anything sweet anymore. Or they're not, waking up in the middle of the night wanting to eat, or not wanting their late night snacks, or so it is important that we break those cravings. We got to kill the bad bugs, and then re-inoculate the gut with the good stuff. But continuing on with sugar is not going to be helpful. So great point, Howie. Thank you. Let's see. So what else do we have? The bacon, the pancake bacon looked really good. I showed you the honey last week. That was so good. Yes. So if you have allergies, because the other thing too is, this is allergy season. Oh, I did a video on that, didn't I? I did a couple videos on that one, but yeah, so with this being allergy season, and last week we talked about foods to avoid if you have allergies, but also if you're taking Claritin, Zyrtec, any kind of allergy medication, that is causing damage to your gut. If you have allergies, that is a gut issue until proven otherwise. If you have a gut issue, it can cause sinus issues, and now you're taking medication to try to dry things up, but yet now you're just making the cycle worse. So, earlier when Big Steve said he eats, raw onion, we talked about raw onion and raw garlic. Those are really probably two of the best things you can do for sinuses and for gut health, because it will actually help to kill off the bad bugs. And then it has quercetin in it, which is a natural antihistamine, which will help to stop that histamine response. So, okay. Oh my gosh. This is great. This is really great. So I think it's 6:57. We've been going almost an hour. So I'm gonna stop there. We're just about halfway through the list. And so the top of the list, here, I'll show you guys. So we made it to here. We made it to here. And that's okay. Because like I said, I knew, this is really important. Because again, I want you guys to have things in your pantry that are going to help you feed you and your family at a much higher level. It's easy to say, get rid of these certain things, but then what do you replace it with? And so, I'm putting a little cart before the horse. We did the whole get rid of the things, on a brief Sunday Night Live, and now we've spent 2 Sundays talking about what to put in your pantry, and we're going to keep going because you'll stock your pantry, and then we'll go back and we'll flush everything out so that you can start eating healthy. So Sunday school is coming to an end. Yeah. Yeah. Unless you have any other questions, you can drop them right there. And again, if you have ideas, if you want to see any videos on certain things, I think actually, oh, you know what? I'm going to make a note. Big Steve, you inspired me. I'm going to do a video on dates because I think dates are important for, that's not working. Okay. Yeah, I think dates are worthy of their own video, don't you? No, eating 7 cheeseburgers is actually excellent for your health, smartass. Is that why the dates run from you? Is that what it is? So, all right, you guys, you're amazing. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you. I don't know I think it's the laptop with the issues that I'm having. So, but I appreciate you hanging in there, coming in late while I came in late with all of my technical issues. But again, thank you for everything. Appreciate you being here. Again, if there's any videos you want to see, please let me know, and I will go ahead and I will create those for you. So I appreciate all the engagement. That makes it really fun. So White Castle, oh my gosh, I got sick on White Castle when I was 19 years old. I can't even think about it. Yeah, just can't do it. My sister-in-law's family brings White Castle every time we have a gathering. I'm like, I wouldn't even know where a White Castle is. So yeah, I know. Yeah, can't do it. All right, you guys, have an amazing night. Have an even better week. Keep watching for more videos. Make sure you're subscribing if you're watching this. And please share my channel so I can continue to grow. I'm up to 555 subscribers as of today. We are moving and shaking. So, all right, we'll see you soon. Talk to you. Thanks so much. I don't know which computer. I don't know if I'm turning off my computer or my phone. I have no idea where I'm at right now. Okay. All right. See ya. Bye.